Hey everybody, Dieter Kurtenbach here, and Oakland Warriors get their first road win since October 29th. You might remember that game. It was when Klay Thompson broke the NBA record for three-pointers made in a single contest. This game, though, a 128-111 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Here are the big three things from the game. Number one, we're starting with Kevon Looney, because Kevon Looney was fantastic. Now, Kevon Looney has been really good for the Warriors all year, really consistent for the Warriors. He's been their best center, but the Warriors really needed him to be their best center tonight, and he came through with flying colors. 7 of 9 from the floor, 14 points, plus 21. Nice little mid-range jumper shot that could go a long way if he can knock that down for the remainder of this season. But why did Looney need to be the man? It's because the Warriors are without Damian Jones, who had played a lot of up and down basketball in recent weeks, but he was the team's starter, and he was the guy getting the bulk of the minutes. And he tore a pectoral muscle against the Detroit Pistons last week and is out for several months. At the same time, DeMarcus Cousins, the big free agent signing, he's not ready to come back from the torn Achilles that he suffered with the New Orleans Pelicans last year. So for now, the Warriors have two centers on the roster. Three if you include two-way player Marcus Derrickson, who Steve Kerr doesn't really want to get into the rotation. It's Kevon Looney and Jordan Bell. We know what Jordan Bell is. He's an energy center. He's a guy who's going to get up and down the court, going to make some big plays, but he's probably going to give up some big plays as well. Kevon Looney is the steady force, and again, they needed him to show up in a big way, and he did that. I loved what I saw of Kevon Looney. That plus 21 is indicative of the impact he was able to make. Just look the part of a modern NBA center. We saw this, of course, last year in the NBA playoffs. This is a guy who, frankly, should have gotten a better contract offer than the one the Warriors were able to give him. But here he is, back with the Warriors again, and he's going to get a lot of run here over the next few weeks. And if it goes anything like it did against the Hawks, which again, it's Atlanta, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but if it goes anything like it did against the Hawks, the Warriors are going to get solid quality play out of Kevon Looney as he gets the bulk of the minutes. Second thing, the big three. The Warriors' big three, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, going for 30, 27, and 28 respectively. Curry was fantastic, particularly in the first quarter. He outscored the Hawks all by himself. He is getting back into it. He's looked a little bit tired at times, coming back from 11 games off with a groin injury. It's only his second game back. It was inevitable that he was going to be a little bit winded the longer he went into games, but that will come around. The Warriors have another game against the Cleveland Cavaliers that he can work himself back into shape with. The game that I was most impressed with was Kevin Durant. Durant really is fitting well with the Curry system, and this was something that the Warriors were starting to morph into when Curry was on the verge of coming back, particularly that game in Toronto. Durant not doing as many post-ups, not doing as many ISO ball moves, really just working within the flow, and it's obviously a lot easier to have that flow when Stephen Curry is out there. He's the guy who typifies that flow, but Durant was stupid efficient against the Hawks. 10 of 13, just an incredibly efficient number. 8 assists as well, and a plus 31. His defense was on point. His passing game was on point. He was the straw that stirred the drink for the Warriors, even though Stephen Curry was the guy creating all of the gravity. It's two different games for Kevin Durant. When Steph is out there, he needs to pick his spots. He needs to be a counter puncher, a guy who can land a clean jab. When Steph's not out there, he needs to just be a heavyweight, just bashing, body blow after body blow. I like watching the counter puncher, the jab Kevin Durant, a lot more than that body blow guy, and this was as good of a jabber as we have seen all year from KD. The third thing, I don't want to bring it up because, again, it was the Warriors' first road win since October 29th. A win's a win, but it's the Atlanta Hawks, and the Warriors turned the ball over 20 times in this game, despite not turning it over in the first quarter at all. That simply is not good enough. You can get away with it when the Warriors play the Cavs later this week, but you cannot get away with that stuff against the Milwaukee Bucks, who the Warriors will play on Friday, or the Minnesota Timberwolves, or the Toronto Raptors, some of their upcoming opponents. Against good teams, the Warriors cannot turn the ball over the way that they did against the Hawks. It was a back-and-forth game. It was an up-and-down contest. Some of that you can just write off to it being loose. At the same time, the Warriors need to be a lot more careful with the basketball. This is not as good of a team as they had last year. They are not as deep. They cannot rely on the second unit to tread water. This is something we've seen time and time again. If Steve Kerr doesn't switch up the rotations. This is going to become a theme. Something you can do, a lot of basketball to be played. The Warriors are a top-heavy team, though, and they are going to get by dominating when they have the big three on the court, and sometimes Andre Iguodala, and in this case, Kevon Looney. But when you have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant on the floor together, you need to get margins. And they're doing that, but they cannot turn the ball over this much. If they don't get up a big mountain of a lead, I don't think this second unit can keep up with some of the other good teams in the NBA. Something to keep an eye on in this upcoming schedule. Again, Cleveland upcoming next, but then Milwaukee, Toronto. It's going to be a really nice stretch for the Warriors. Some good basketball. They got to play a little bit better than they did against the Hawks on Monday night. We will talk to you before that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. A little bit different now that LeBron James is no longer in the wine and blue. I don't know what they call their jersey colors. It's something ridiculous. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, not good. The Warriors, very good. Let's see what that means in the final score Wednesday night in Cleveland.